Alright, what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and today, guys, is the start of a brand new series that I'm starting on my channel, and this is going to be the zombie storyline what if scenario. So basically how this is going to work is every week I'm going to have a new video for you guys, and this will be discussing something in the zombie storyline, a particular element of it, but we're going to be changing things up and throwing a what if in there. You know, something different happened in that scenario and what that would mean for the rest of the storyline and the implications of that. Now, because this is the first episode, I went and picked the first topic myself to talk about in this one, but if you want your next scenario to be answered in an upcoming series in the video, let me know either in the comments of this video or you can go on Twitter and send me a tweet asking your question. And also, one more thing before we get started, if you guys do enjoy this video and you especially enjoy the series, make sure to leave a like on it, guys, and you know, it just kind of encourages me to do more stuff like this. I want to know if you guys are cool with this. And with all that aside, guys, let's get into the topic of today's video, and today's is going to be, what if Richthofen never went to Alcatraz and he never visited Mob of the Dead? We know how the timeline plays out, that Richthofen went to Mob the Dead in order to secure blood vials, and we can see him step out of the teleporter with these on. In fact, we even saw it all the way back in Origins during that teaser trailer. Richthofen has had these blood vials for a long time, and he's visited Alcatraz to go and get them. This would mean that in the Giant, when the teleporter is activated and Richthofen 2.0 steps out, he would still come out as he usually does and still shoot the Richthofen 1.0 in the head, killing him, but the only difference is he would not have the blood vials on him, and this would cause the characters to not question him, because a lot of their dialogue within the Giant and some other maps was about his blood vials and what they mean, but Richthofen was trying to keep it hush-hush the entire time. The Rise and Drock would play out relatively the same, as the blood wasn't really too important or mentioned and used in that map. The only difference is Richthofen would not have the blood on him, of course, like he does in the other maps. Dempsey still ends up killing his 1.0 self at the end of the Easter egg, and then our crew moves on to Zetsubo no Shima, where they're captured by Division 9 and then put on the boat. Richthofen, still confident as ever, continues his search to find Takeo 1.0 so they can kill him and get his soul inside the summoning key. However, this time around, there is no dialogue between the characters about the blood at all. This was questioned a lot in Zetsubo, but in this timeline, they don't question it at all because there is no blood to even be talking about in the first place. The crew ends up finding Takeo 1.0, and this is where things start to turn, and we get a little bit of a twist, because as of right now, things have been relatively the same, but in this timeline, things start to go different. Takeo 1.0 is still killed by 2.0, same as ever, and then they go and collect his soul inside the summoning key, and we see a white flash as his soul is collected, but during this white flash is when the crew visits Alcatraz in the original timeline, but in this one, this white flash would not exist. This would not happen. We'd go straight from the summoning key to the teleporter and then back to the map in Zetsubo no Shima. Straight after Takeo's soul is collected, they are right back in the map, and instead of all of the characters having blood vials for each one, they have none of them. Richthofen does not have any, neither do the other three, and they just collected the soul and then they're moving on to the next thing. This next thing would just so happen to be the entrance of Garad Krovi, and all of the other characters are falling out of the Borealis with the blood vials on them. This time, none of them have blood vials. They still question Richthofen if this was a part of the plan, but while within the map, they never ask once, you know, what they did on their trip to Alcatraz and why that was important, and, you know, Richthofen doesn't have any secrets to keep from the characters at this point. This is a much more open and talkative Richthofen. In the regular one, Richthofen was very secretive about a couple of subjects and didn't want to talk about it too much, and especially the blood vials. However, in this one, Richthofen would openly talk about any subject that the other characters wanted to speak about. This leads to the other three trusting Richthofen very much. In fact, they definitely believe in his progress and know where he's going with this plan, and they back him up fully. While in Garad Krovi, we are first finally introduced officially to Dr. Mani, and Dr. Mani explains that the world is broken and it is our job to fix it, and Richthofen knows that this is definitely, you know, what the path that he is on. This time around, however, there is less of a disconnect between Dr. Mani and Richthofen's trust. In the original timeline, Dr. Mani warns the other three that Richthofen is up to something evil and that he should not be trusted. He's keeping some knowledge or something away from the other three, and so this makes them distrustful of Richthofen. However, this time, Richthofen has nothing to hide from Dr. Mani, and especially the blood vial. In the original timeline, Richthofen never told Dr. Mani that he had the blood. Dr. Mani just knew that he was up to something bad and that the other characters should be cautious, but in this time, Richthofen has nothing to hide from Dr. Mani because he never went to go get the blood in the first place, and this leads to much more communication between Monty and Richthofen, and it gets a better understanding of what is actually happening with the Apothecans and the assimilation of the universe through that communication. Dr. Mani begins to talk to them a whole lot within the map, and this leads to them becoming more of friends rather than just a communication device. Takeo, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Richthofen become more of friends with Dr. Mani than anything, and this leads to the four having a deeper-seated trust within Monty and knowing that he's going to be watching over them where they go. The four are able to locate Nikolai 1.0 and defeat him in his mech, and now it is time for Nikolai to kill his other self. Nikolai tells his story of loss and pain and why he is the way that he is, but this time around, Nikolai is more hopeful than anything else, and he seems to know that his future is set, and his trust in Dr. Monty and Richthofen and where the plan is going makes him feel more secure than he otherwise would be. Nikolai's soul is collected, and then they have all of them and they are complete, so they send the souls up to the house where Dr. Monty is, and then they are getting ready to go and meet Maxis in there as well. With no secrets being hidden from anybody and Richthofen being completely open about what his intentions are, this leads to Dr. Monty and the rest of the four being very, very close, and they're communicating at a very higher level. When the four finally step through the teleporter to meet Dr. Monty and Maxis inside the house, they meet up with Maxis, and then Dr. Monty does not go on a long explanation like he usually does about how they need to fix everything. This has already been communicated in Garad Krovi, so they get to the house pretty much already knowing what they have to do and what the situation is. They're convinced fully that the Shadow Man is 100% evil and needs to be defeated, and Dr. Monty is 100% good and on their side. No more of this argument in their minds where they're trying to decide if Monty is the good guy or the bad guy, and if maybe the Shadow Man was the good guy the whole time and Monty is just a wolf in sheep's clothing. They have no idea, but that does not even go on in their minds anymore. They are completely 100% on the side of Dr. Monty, and Shadow Man is the villain that needs to be defeated. This makes everything the Shadow Man tries to tell the four in Revelations completely irrelevant. There are wisps around the map that have Shadow Man quotes in which he's trying to persuade the characters that Dr. Monty is really the bad guy and the Shadow Man is the good guy, and like he goes into their history and things like that, showing the characters that they should not trust Dr. Monty. But this time, this just goes in one ear out the other for the characters, and they believe none of it. They have such a deep-seated trust in Dr. Monty, who they just recently met, and they think that he will never let them down or ever betray them, and that he will always guide their path and be on the correct side as them, and so they trust his ability in them to help defeat the Shadow Man. Eventually, the four are able to complete the quest and end up defeating the Shadow Man as they always would, and the rest of the bit plays out the same, where Sophia and Maxis combine into one, go up into the Apothecan Sun, and take out every single Apothecan from that dimension, and then we go over to Dr. Monty. He begins to explain that the universe has now been set right, and the only thing that's left that shouldn't be there is those four. The four start to worry because they're starting to feel betrayed by Dr. Monty, and he doesn't know what they're going to do with his fate, and he begins to describe to them this.
I suppose I could make a little corner somewhere in history, a place where I can dump some of the other shit that I've left over, or I just wipe you from existence.
And this is exactly what Dr. Monty does. You can see the characters start to fade away, and what happens to the four is that they do and truly indeed fade from existence. Because they did not drink the blood that they got from Alcatraz, this did not create the anomaly in the universe that was Monty's perfect world, and thus he could not completely erase them from existence because it didn't belong there, and it was within them, it was a part of their bodies. But this time around, they did not have that blood from Alcatraz, so they were easily wiped from existence by Monty. They're not even sent back in the cycle and reincarnated as premised, they're literally just gone. And what this means for Mob the Dead and that crew is that the Weasel would never know Nikolai, because there's that famous quote in which the Weasel says, Nikolai, 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 why do I keep hearing that name? That would never happen, and the other connections that we have between those four crews, or those two crews, sorry, would never even exist. This would mean that Mob of the Dead would probably be an infinite cycle forever. It could never have any chance to be broken without any influence of Richthofen. I don't really know that for sure, but that's what I would guess, is that this would never end up being broken. If Richthofen had not visited, or there hadn't been any connections with these crews, I think that it would go and continue on forever, and Monty would be able to keep this cycle going on for as long as he wanted. So at the end of the day, you guys can see how a small trip to pick up a vial of blood changes the entire perception of what happens in the zombie storyline, and how that kind of screwed up Monty's plan. So I thought it was really interesting to talk about this and make this video. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure to leave a like on it, guys. I really appreciate that. This is going to be the first of a series called The What If in the zombie storyline, and I'm going to be doing a bunch more stuff like this. Like I said, since this was the first episode, I wanted to pick the subject and kind of like the question to talk about. But if you guys want to be featured in the next upcoming episode, think about a question and either leave it in the comments of this video or go on Twitter and send it to me as a tweet, and I would definitely take a look at it. And if I think it's worthy, if I think it's something that is worth talking about, I will definitely put it in a video. And also, just as a quick little disclaimer, me making this video and giving this theory is not saying this is exactly what would play out if these events happened. This is me just kind of thinking about it logically and speculating if one thing in the zombie storyline was changed, whatever it might be, what kind of implications that would have. and where I think the story would go if these changes had been made to it. So other than that, that is pretty much going to be it for today. Like I said, guys, this is going to be the first of a series that we're going to have every single week. There will be a brand new episode, and if you do want to be involved in this, if you want your topic in, all you have to do is leave a comment on this video telling me your topic or what you want to see in the next episode. You can either leave a comment or you can tweet me, send me a tweet on Twitter. The link to that will be down below in the description, so make sure you do follow me if you do not already. But other than that, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for today. I'm very excited for the series, and I hope it does well. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure to leave a like on the video. You know, it does show me some support, and it encourages me to make more stuff like this. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys did enjoy this video anyway, and if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you do. It will be down below in the description. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next video.